The two leaders of the US Chess Championship face off today. Hans Niemann with the white pieces, Fabiano Caruana with the black pieces. They did not come to draw today. Fabi demoralized from yesterday's loss. Hans Niemann always trying to ruin everybody's day. We get a trustworthy Italian. And this is an old school game of chess. This is chess the founding fathers would have played. It's very beautiful, uncharted territory, and it stems from an Italian, which is the crazy part. So Fabiano plays d6. This is how you know he's trying to fight. He plays a Philidor-like Italian. Philidor meaning the bishop gets stuck behind the pawn chain. You decide to defend e5 like this. We get pawn to c3 and pawn to f5. So what I will say is I'm picking up e5, and I just had a lesson with Faustino Oro, one of his coaches, and I have this in my files because of that lesson. So this is just top level chess. This is what's in their files when they're trying to play. I got to get a good coach, right? Because I'm 2,700 on chess.com. So we can't just have any Joe Schmo sending me files. This is amazing. He knows I love the F-pawn. Sent me files with the F-pawn in it. And Fabiano came to play. Now Hans Niemann, a very solid, professional Italian player, plays the best move, pawn to d3. We get queen to f6, one of the more provocative approaches. The most provocative approach here is pawn to f4, but queen to f6 prepares pawn to f4. What should you not do in this position? It's literally in the file. It's so wild. When I saw this, I could not believe it, because 2 weeks ago, I didn't know what this was. White should not castle. White should play pawn to b4, knight bd2, knight g5, take a slower approach. I don't know if Hans messed up, forgot his lines, messed up his move order, but he castles. And okay, it's nothing too crazy, but black gets a position, an attack rather, that will begin to play itself. He clamps down right away on the king side, closing out white's dark squared bishop, connect 4. It's good stuff. Everybody loves connect 4. We get pawn to b4. This is what you're supposed to do before castling, but now black has a tangible target. Fabi develops his knight. We get more queenside expansion, and then now we get kingside expansion. This is like bar fight chess. This is like you go out and somebody looks at you funny. You post up. Both people get the pawn structures they want, and you just hold your ground. That's what this is good. This is nice. This is what we enjoy. We get pawn to b5, white strikes first. Black reroutes the knight to d8. This knight can then go to f7 or e6, where it'll transport itself over towards white's king, which is the epitome of what he wants. The confessional booth. Yesterday was the hotel room for Fabi that needed insurance. Today it's the confessional booth that needs insurance. Pawn to g4. Pawn to g4, striking again. Kind of like how black's knight went back to d8, white's knight also goes back to e1. And this is why, right? This is like chess from the 1800s. And today you're like, oh, those guys were no match for GMs today. Give those guys an engine and see how... Give Bobby Fischer Stockfish in his training, and you get a 3,000 elo human. I don't want to hear it. There's mistakes left and right. It's just they're not familiar with the structure. Look at Fischer Random, the way it's played. Guys, don't compare generations if you're going to make dubious remarks. Knight to a3, knight on the side of the board, but very good. Kind of like the board in A, although there's 2 knights that can come to c2, so that's a bit suspicious. We got knight e6, routing over to the king side. Pawn b6. I mean, hats off to Hans for finding this move. It's a clearance, kind of like what we spoke about yesterday in Fabi's fumble of the century. The point is, if A takes, the knight jumps onto b5, where it ties black's pieces down and threatens tactics. Even worse would be disconnecting the pawn structure. Look at this. You can go from slightly better as black to losing in a matter of a move. One simple pawn move. One simple misclick. Is he going to mouse slip? Pawn to c6. No mouse slip from Fabi. Not today. Not today. Preemptive thinking. Bishop back to a2. Common in Italians. Knight to g... I mean, would anybody want to be white in this position? I think not. This is like a... Reminds me, gives me Grand Prix vibes, or the way you play against an English. Just, he got all of his pawns through. all of the pawns are squaring up. Don't push them too quickly. And we get knight to d3. Apparently, this game is balanced if white plays knight to c4. Apparently. The point is, okay, you're going to claim b6. He can't kick you out, and the knight is pretty good over here. But this is such a complicated position. I mean, it makes no sense. Knight to d3 looks like a sensible move, but he actually needed the knight on e1. He needed to keep his rook squeezed on f1 because the value of this knight is defense, and defense is what you're going to need as white to calm the storms of this approaching attack. Knight to g6, guarding e5, guarding f4, routing over. And then we get knight to c4. See, it was the best move last move, and now it's a mistake. That's chess. Like a system of moving parts. It's position specific. Bishop to e6. And Hans is back in the game. Apparently, Fabi has to go pawn a5. I'm saying apparently, because this position is, you know, this position is this position. The knight can't come to b6. And yeah, it's pretty crazy, but it's saying white has no moves. Like, it's saying you go king h1 here. It's saying you just need to eat the attack. But we got bishop to e6. Here you really need to take the pawn on a7, but okay, we got bishop to a3. He's trying to develop. It makes sense. This is what we want from top-level chess. Would you guys prefer this, or would you guys prefer a 10-move draw? I feel like any real chess player would prefer this. Like, who cares about the accuracy? You want a game where sparks fly, where nerves are tense. That's what you want. Makes for a good story. Makes for a good video, too. So thank you. Thank you. At tip to Fabi and Hans. We get an exchange on c4. Fabi plays f3. Surgical. Surgical. And now you really, the best move is knight e1, but think about it. Then you're losing 2 tempo. You'll have lost 2 tempi. You need the knight on e1, protecting f1 and g3. G2. We get pawn g3, but now pawn h4. This is disgusting. Everybody, disgusting attack. Queen to c2 developing. I mean, Fabi could have been demoralized, and instead he just turned into the best chess player in the world today. We get rook to d7. Look at this. Rook shift, rook lift, rook shift, checkmate. And white has no moves. And think who... Hans Niemann has no moves. No one does this to Hans. We get rook to h7, bishop takes g5, queen takes g5, queen to b3. Imagine you're playing the co-leader of the tournament and you win. That's a 1-point advantage. You win with the black pieces. H takes g3. I got news for you. There's a couple spite checks, but no one's stopping mate. There is force mate on the board. This is a miniature. This is the most successful f5 I've ever seen. Hans resigns and Fabi wins. Did you guys expect this? Did you want this? Fabi's got some water in his veins. We're not going to say he has ice in his veins after yesterday, but he's got some lukewarm water. He's heating up. Thank you as always for watching. I'll keep you posted with the rest of the results. See you next time. Peace.